able to launch out these other chapters if you did not have that going on. And so even when you look at some of the most recognizable brands out there, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, the keys are being consistent. Their consistency are the keys. And many businesses tend to put the cart before the horse, and they don't really focus on their methods and their tactics and their strategies. And so, and then, when you focus on that, then you'll be able to have your craft. You'll be able to perfect your craft, and you'll be able to have an elevated pitch. And then we tend to lead with objectives in mind. So, yes, the keys are being flexible and consistent, and I love what you shared about branding. That is truly, truly profound, what you share with the listening audience today. Indeed, it's so. And who were inspirational role models in your life?
I would have to say my parents. My mom was born here in the United States. My dad was born in Haiti. They met here stateside when he was going to Bible school, and he actually introduced her to Christ, and they came up with they had a vision to start a ministry in an orphanage in Haiti. And so at a very young age, I moved to Haiti after being born here. And the reason why, I could go on and on about them being my role model, but the biggest thing that I learned from them that has really propelled me and helped me to really continue on my journey to success is being obedient to whatever your calling is and staying aligned with that calling. So once we actually moved to Haiti and he wanted to open up this orphanage, the resources were not readily available for him to accomplish the big dream that he had. But he started with what he had, and that was our home. So our actual family home was opened up to 25 orphans. And I'm talking about a 4-bedroom house with my sister and my brother, my blood siblings, and now 25 additional kids from the streets or parents who could not take care of them, and staff. And, you would look at that today and say, how can that many people, live in one small house and make it work? But he did, because his vision was bigger than that actual, whatever he had monetarily or the resources that were given to him. But because he followed and because they followed consistently that vision, it grew into something greater. So eventually they were able to open up schools. They opened up churches. They had a university. And a lot of these kids came from a young age and went all the way through. I'm talking about 18 or 19 years old, where they were cared for under this orphanage. And so I truly commend them for that. And what I learned, even at a young age from watching them do that, was, again, like I said, is when you know what your vision is, you can't make the excuse of what you need in order to get that vision started. Your vision is very plain. Utilize what you have at that moment to get it started, and then watch God work out the rest for you. And that's kind of what I use even with my own personal mission with my business. I don't look at the bigger picture all the time and try to figure out how I'm going to get there, even though that is strategic planning, and you have to do that in business. But sometimes I move by faith, knowing that the vision that I have is authentic and it is genuine. And I know once I step my foot out, it's going to slowly take its course on its own, and I just have to stay the course myself. So I would definitely say my parents are my biggest role models.
That's truly powerful. And what you mentioned about the vision, even in the Bible in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, it talks about writing your vision upon tablet. We have to be intentional about our vision and our goals and what we want out of life. And the Bible gives us clear keys to success through the kingdom principles that we apply to our life, biblical principles. And by you having that upbringing, spiritual basis, and bringing spiritual awareness, you're able to discern a lot of different things by being brought up in the spiritual household. And it shows that even what your family was involved with, helping to build up the kids' lives and nurture them with the orphanage, that's why you're so compassionate about what you're doing. You cement in your passion to help build other people as well. And so that speaks volumes, and it's truly monumental. And I always say that even when you talk about building trust and even honesty, honesty is the bedrock of a good relationship. And so even, Haiti, what you mentioned about is very much needed there is very much needed, even in the United States, but it's just truly, truly such a blessing what your family has done for so many of the children. And I commend them as well, and that's helping to preserve our spiritual heritage. It truly is. And when it comes down to talking about the people who's been inspirational in your life, it's truly incredible. These are the kind of individuals of stature that truly should be carved in stone, so that their life legacy of servant leadership and sacrifice might never be lost to mankind. And I also share that even when it comes down to your parents, it shows that their character and their courage and conviction that they're truly iconic figures. Their integrity and their intelligence and intensity that blaze a pathway forth into the future that lights the way for all to follow. Amen.
Amen.
Such a blessing. Truly, truly is a blessing.
Indeed.
Now, Michele, what are the root cause of limited patterns of thought that impact effective entrepreneur and solution-based personal and business outcomes?
I'm just going to have to go with fear. Fear of the unknown, the what if, fear of failure. And really, when you think of limited beliefs, everything really just does boil down to fear. Now, how we're raised, I believe, has a lot to do with that. And because I'm conscious about that, because I'm continuously working around entrepreneurs and I see what it takes to, excel them both personally and professionally, I do my best to even look at that from a parenting perspective. And I try my best to not allow my limited beliefs, because we all have them, and it's something that we're continuously working on. I try not to allow that to hinder my children. And I'm going to give you an example of that. Growing up, I was not great at math. Math was probably one of my worst subjects. I only passed because I had to work extra hard than most of the students in the class with a tutor and things like that. And so when my son, came to me in elementary school, there was like a little math club, and he asked about it. And because I had no interest in it, and because it didn't appeal to me, I kind of found myself, telling him in a way like, if that's what you want to do, do it. But are there any other club options? Is there anything else that you can choose? And I had to catch myself in that moment, because that's where limited beliefs start. They start from being told something, whether it's our minds telling us something, whether it's an outsider, a family, a friend, society, whatever it is. It starts with that. And so I had to catch myself in that moment and say, he's bringing this to my attention for a reason. And I should give this deep, this amount of detail to his passion. I should do him I should do him justice by being just as excited about it as he is, even though it's not for me. Because, again, I believe that a lot of these things that we experience as adults when it comes to limited beliefs have a lot to do from how we were raised. Even from how well we can speak. A lot of us are not great public speakers, which is just by nature, but a lot of us are even scared to even overcome the fear of public speaking because we've been told to be quiet and to keep our mouths shut so much as we were growing up. Now, there's a child's place, and there's a place for children to speak, and there's a place and a time for children not to speak. But we have to also be careful to not limit them so much that when they become adults, these limited beliefs hold them back from success or hold them back from going after their dreams and their goals and things of the sort. So, again, when it comes to limited beliefs as adults, the biggest thing is fear. We have to. It is our own individual obligations and responsibilities to recognize when we're having a limited belief moment and how we can overcome them. Because once we identify them and we've tried to figure out why it's happening and why it's producing a sense of fear or why it's producing an area that's holding us back, then we're able to recognize what strategies we can put in place to overcome them. So, when it comes to limited beliefs, we all have them. There's, even the most well-put-together woman or man, successful or on any level, has their own limited beliefs, but they're finding strategies to overcome them. And I think that's one of the things that we have to be transparent about, is that we all have them, but we have to be conscious about them and identify them so that we don't allow them to stunt our growth.
those are words of wisdom. Well said. Well said. And when it comes down to fear, fear immobilizes us. Fear paralyzes us. And I tell people all the time that we have to identify our strengths as well as our weaknesses, which are our kryptonites. And once we can identify that, we can be better leaders. And I like this quote by Jim Roque. He says, to have more than you got, you have to become more than you are. That success is something you attract by being an attractive person. And we have to be proactive. We have to be proactive. We have to encourage other people in their walk and what they're been called to do. And so, and like you mentioned about sometimes it may not have been something totally that, you know, a total interest of what you were into, but sometimes we have to be the encourager. And this is quite a liberating message that you are sharing with us today, because someone needs to hear that. Someone needs to hear that. And then we have to even change our mindset. Because, like I mentioned about the shows, the reason why we have these shows, Millionaires in Training, because we are trying to emancipate the minds of the people so they can think differently, to be able to reach that ultimate success that they so rightfully deserve, to have that quality of life. So you are giving us these core values, and it shows that you are living by design and not by default. Because even when Dr. Martin Luther King, I think about this quote that he says, and we have to be action-oriented. We have to be proactive. And he says our legacy should be like for the compelling necessity of embracing the fierce urgency of now, for there's no substitute for action. And again, we have to be action-oriented to be able to reach the amazing height and to achieve that greatness that we have in our life, that we are born. It's our birthright. Truly is our birthright. Yeah, so this is truly, truly such a blessing to hear you share this with us. I mean, it's quite empowering and inspirational and extreme, I must say.
Thank you.
You are so very welcome. And you are the founder and president of the MillionHeiress Club, LLC, a social platform for women of color which seeks to provide a resourceful sisterhood, personally and professional development workshops. Over the past 5 years, it has grown to 2 chapters, and now mentoring 56 active women in business this membership year. And I'm aware that you're a committed-minded, professional, performance-driven, extremely energetic woman producing your own unique work. And you have such a compelling vision. What is your compelling vision of how to develop leadership strategies?
Wow, that's a good question. There's a leader in all of us. There really is. There's a leader in all of us, and some of us, we just have an innate ability to bring that leadership skill out easier and quicker than others, but we all have leadership facets to us. And we're all leaders in different ways. There's not a set design for a leader, just like there's not a designated group for that particular leader. Everybody has their own talents and their own gifts and how they're able to lead their respective flock, their respective groups, and things of the sort. So when it comes to developing leadership skills for our ladies, again, it goes back to the personal development. It's got to start with the personal development, the mindset, the ability to recognize our own strengths and our own weaknesses, the ability to be to create great time management, the ability to understand investing in ourselves, and that the process of success is a continuous journey. I don't believe there's ever a real end destination, because when you're ambitious and when you're driven, there's always something greater even after you've accomplished that first, second, third, fourth goal, and et cetera. So you're always striving for something else. So when it comes to developing the leadership skills, particularly with the women in our group, it's about holding them accountable. Because the first thing is that a lot of us lack accountability. We have the idea, we know what we want to do, we have these visions, but we don't want to put the work in. We don't want to have to go out of our way to be inconvenienced. We want the easy route. And so when it comes to leadership really is a student in training at all times. That's really what a true leader is. Even though you're leading a group, you're technically still a student of life. You're continuously learning so that you can stay one step ahead to provide that knowledge and that resource that's your gift